I'd like to call the regular scheduled meeting of the Edgecombe County Commission to order. Good evening, everybody. Safety instructions.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to call on Ms. Best to give us our safety instructions.
Good evening. To provide for the safety of those attending this meeting, please listen to the following instructions in case of an emergency. First, please take a moment to note where your exits are. If an emergency arises that prompts us to evacuate, please exit this room in a quick and orderly manner through one of the two doors to your right, and then proceed to the nearest stairwell, directions to which are indicated by the exit signs. Once you exit the building, we ask that you safely cross Granville Street, which is the street that runs beside our building, to our parking lot to be safely away from the building. Our staff will provide additional direction and assistance. In the case of a tornado warning, we ask that you exit this room into the hallway, where we will all remain until it is safe to exit. In the event of an active shooter in the building, if there is an accessible escape path, please run and try to evacuate the premises. If you can't evacuate, find a place to hide where you are less likely to be found and lock any doors that you can. And as a last resort, and only if your life is in imminent danger, please fight. Our staff will provide additional direction and assistance on what to do. Thank you for your attention.
Ms. Harris, would you please offer prayer?
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for another day of life, health, and strength, Lord. We ask you to guide us as we continue to do the business with Edgecombe County. Be in our hearts and our minds as we do what's best for one another. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Amen. If there are no additions or corrections, we approve the minutes of our April 1st meeting are in your book for approval. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let me know by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. At this time on the agenda, we have a public hearing. The public hearing is called to order to receive citizen comments, input for proposed expansion of Princeville extraterritorial jurisdiction. The public hearing is called to order. Mr. Peters, would you please read the public notice?
Yes, sir. Notice is hereby given that the Edgecombe County Board of Commissioners will conduct a public hearing on Monday, May 6, 2024 at 6:00 p.m. for the purpose of receiving citizen comments or input on the proposed expansion of the town of Princeville's extraterritorial jurisdiction, ETJ. Citizens interested in reviewing ETJ expansion may do so by visiting the Edgecombe County website at www.edgecombecountync.gov. A copy will also be available for viewing at the Edgecombe County Manager's Office in the County Administration Building, 201 St. Andrews Street, Suite 402, Tarboro, North Carolina, 27886. Citizens who wish to address the board on this matter may do so at the meeting during the public hearing. Citizens may also submit their comments via email to publiccomments@edgecombeco.com or by mail to Frangie Mungo, Clerk to the Board, P.O. Box 10, Tarboro, North Carolina, 27886. All written comments received by 5:00 p.m. on the May 6th will be read at the meeting. Frangie Mungo, Clerk to the Board.
Mr. Evans?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. As you know, the town of Princeville has added to its town, first a 53-acre tract, then a tract of 88 acres. And because of that, they now have the opportunity to adjust their ETJ or extraterritorial jurisdiction accordingly. As you know, the ETJ does not become part of the town limits, but it does become, it comes under their umbrella for which they will have purview of zoning and planning. And so the town has had a public hearing and the board itself has taken action to extend their extraterritorial jurisdiction. The Board of Commissioners must also approve this. You'll see that our IT staff has pulled up for your viewing. Same copy of this map is in your agenda packet as well, showing where they are extending their extraterritorial jurisdiction. I do want to recognize Mayor Bobby Jones that is here tonight, the mayor of the town of Princeville, and recommend that you call for any comments for those who may be interested in this item, and contingent upon that feedback, I do recommend that you approve the resolution that is in your packet titled Resolution Requesting Extension of the Town's Extraterritorial Jurisdiction.
At this time, there is a general call for public comments. If anybody here to speak, please come forward and state your name and address for the public record. Is there anybody here that would like to speak during this public hearing? Hearing none, I'd like to adjourn the public hearing. At this time, the recommendation from the manager is to approve the resolution from the Princeville Town Council. Is there a motion?
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is expanded. Mayor, you got any comments? It is approved.
Thank you so much for your continued support. If you've been through the town of Princeville lately, you see a lot of positive progress going on. And if we do this right, Eastern North Carolina will no longer be the stepchild of North Carolina. We started in Princeville, making it great again, but of course, Princeville is part of Edgecombe County. We'll make Edgecombe County again as well as Eastern North Carolina. So thank you very much for your support. We want to thank our federal partners, our state partners, and as well as our local partners. We're all working together as one team to make things better. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you for what you're doing. At this time, I'd like a motion to recess our regular Board of Commissioners meeting and convene as the Board of Equalization and Review. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, we're now sitting as the Board of Equalization and Review. I'd like to call the Board of Equalization and Review to order. Mr. Evans?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. You, as the Board of Equalization and Review, you do have 14 formal appeals that are to be reviewed. Our recommendation is we try to estimate approximately 30 minutes per appeal, and so we won't attempt to do those tonight, but would ask that you consider recessing the Board of Equalization and Review to reconvene on Monday, May 20th at 10 a.m. At that time, those who have appeals in will have the opportunity to make their appeal directly to the board, and our staff will provide you with information and a recommendation as well. So we recommend no action be taken tonight, but you recess the Board of Equalization and Review and reconvene on Monday, May 20th at 10 a.m.
So we adopt no resolution today.
That's correct. We will postpone that, yes, sir.
Now give me that recommendation again.
The recommendation is to recess the Board of Equalization and Review to reconvene on May 20th at 10 a.m.
Is the board member make that motion?
Motion. Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is adopted. At this time, being no further business to be taken by the Board of Equalization and Review, I'll need a motion to recess as Board of Equalization and Review and reconvene as regular Board of Commissioners. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, we're now sitting again as the Board of Commissioners. And then the reason I do that, ladies and gentlemen, we serve as both. We serve as the Board of Commissioners and we serve as the Board of Equalization and Review. That's the reason that we have to recess and go into that meeting. At this time, if there are any public positions from anybody present, please come forward and state your name and address for the public record. And you have 3 minutes. Sometimes we're lenient with that depending upon how the meeting goes. Mr. Evans, do you have anybody that called in or wrote in?
I believe Mr. Williams indicated that you want to speak during public petition.
And if there's anybody asked this, please come after this. Please go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Good afternoon, Chairman, board members. My name is Johnny Williams. I live at 121 Webb Lane. I raised a couple of questions today, talked to a couple of colleagues today, and inquired about affordable housing. The statistics that I gathered, from online as of April, they're saying that as April 28, 2024, that average income is $22.57 an hour. And that's the high is $38.45 an hour. The lowest income, $15.51. So basically what I'm saying is, how can we say that it's affordable housing? And this is for the city of Tarboro. How can it be affordable housing and the average person making about $49, less than $50,000 a year, and averaging out to $900 some dollars before taxes? So My question would be, you know, that can be answered later on or as of tonight, how can people have affordable housing in Edgecombe County with prices skyrocketing high, as properties going as high as $170,000 to $200,000 with people not making $50,000 a year? Thank you.
But I think it's a good question, and I don't know the answer either. Okay, I agree with you, I think. But it has been an ongoing conversation, but sometimes when we're talking with our partnership and others as how we can attract builders and others to accommodate. I would agree. I served with the Rocky Mount Housing Authority for a while, and we built houses called them affordable, but I didn't think that they were affordable then. And I don't have an answer for that question, but I do think that it's something that our boards have been talking about, and those are some of the things that we can talk about out of the view of the public sometimes, and how we can accomplish that objective. We're working on it, and I don't know if there are any comments from any of the other board members, but I don't have an answer for it now, Mr. Williams, I don't, because I agree with you. Okay.
I don't have the answer, but I think we need to check around the state, because there are several counties in the states who are taking on affordable housing. And we need to see, is there any way for us to mirror how they're doing it, since they're a county as well as us being a county, that we need to check into the possibilities of what kind of partners we can get. I know in Durham County, they have a large affordable housing project that the county itself is working on. So it's something I've been thinking that we've needed to take a look at for a very long time, as well. Now, the town of Tarboro, that would be the town of Tarboro. But as far as Edgecombe County, I think we need to look at other counties and see how they're doing it.
Mr. Chairman, may I add just a comment?
Go right ahead.
Just to add to both of your comments, to Mr. Williams' question. So as all the board knows, and many in the audience know, that we have embarked on this initiative called Getting Off the List, where we've reviewed some of the lists where we're at the top and bottom of places we don't want to be in some of these statistics. Based on a review of some of our key stakeholders, they've identified, in reviewing those lists, they've identified 4 focus areas where we feel like we need to give energy, attention, and additional resources, and affordable and safe housing is one of those. And so for those that are here tonight, you will hear, we've created 4 advisory boards, including an affordable housing advisory board. We will be making some additional appointments to those boards tonight. Those boards will start meeting in May and June. So I just wanted to say that to let Mr. Williams know this is something that we have recognized is a need, that currently the market itself is just not meeting all of those needs. There are still some gaps, and that we want to use our resources and our leadership, if you will, as best as we can to help meet some of those needs. So.
Is there anybody else from the public that would like to speak? Anybody to speak? Hearing none, move it on, Mr. Evans, to budget amendment.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. You have several budget amendments, a few of those that require your approval. Budget amendment number 1, it says reappropriating funds within EMS to cover expenses related to a conference. Basically, this is a relatively small budget amendment. However, because it does include a salary-related line, it does have to come before you. Budget amendment number 2, to reclassify funds for lease of our cardiac monitors. Those are funds that are already budgeted, just moving them from the current line that they're in to a more appropriate line. Budget amendment number 3, again, a relatively small budget amendment, however, because it does involve salary and related lines, does require your approval. Budget amendment number 4, this is reallocating budget to cover remaining yearly expenditures within Department of Social Services. Again, it does, you'll see a number of line items identified there, but it does cross over the $25,000 total threshold, therefore requires your approval. I want to say, you'll see budget amendment number 5 is a very lengthy budget amendment. You have budget amendment number 6 behind it, not as lengthy, but both of these budget amendments are somewhat connected. Budget amendment number 5 is to appropriate additional revenues to reallocate within the budget to cover salary increase and vacancy allowances for a number of departments. So Ms. Barfield, in her review of our budget as we approach the end of our fiscal year, she has been monitoring. As you'll recall, we used a budgeting strategy of budgeting all of our positions in all of our departments. Then in our larger departments, knowing we won't have 100% of the positions filled, we used a vacancy allowance budgeting strategy so that we could free up some of those funds and not appropriate as much in fund balance as we otherwise would have. So Ms. Barfield has been monitoring all of our lines really, but in particular all of our salary lines, especially those that have vacancy allowances in their budget, to make sure that there is enough in the expenditure line to equal at least to the amount that we put in the vacancy allowance. So you'll see that there are a number of budget lines that are being requested to move there in budget amendments number 5 and 6. Budget amendment number 7 is to reduce budget due to the state is now processing these programs through the energy portal, and agency no longer processes these. So in these particular programs, whereas they used to funnel through our organization, now the payment of those are processed through the state, so they don't come through our books any longer. So you'll see that there's an adjustment there for that. I do have one budget amendment that is at your place that I'd like for your consideration. This is budget amendment number 24 at the top right corner there. You'll recall that at a previous meeting, you agreed that we would, there's some outlay that Caroline's Gateway Partnership had made in some pre-development costs related to Kingsborough Industrial Site. We had some funds that come from our ARPA funds, ARPA-enabled funds, under the economic development category. I presented to you a couple of months ago requesting that the balance of that, $134,000, be used to reimburse the partnership for those expenses. What we realized since that meeting was that at the end of FY23, we did not re-budget that in FY24. So it basically fell back into fund balance. So this is taking that $134,000 of ARPA-enabled funds back out of fund balance to appropriate under the Caroline's Gateway Partnership line to reimburse them for those costs. And mostly those are engineering related costs. So happy to answer any questions that you have about those or any other budget amendments. Otherwise, I recommend that you approve budget amendments numbers 1 through 7 and number 24.
Your motion?
So
Check.
moved.
Second?
Second.
Questions?
Only question is, on number 6 and number 21, do we need an additional signature?
Number 6, on 6, no, because the department head that's generating this is Ms. Barfield herself. And so she generated that budget amendment. I'll have to look at number 21.
Any other questions?
21.
And number 21 is I initiated that budget amendment, yes, ma'am.
Ms. Thorne?
Just a couple of things and more kind of statements, but in number 5, and I've addressed this in comments with a call with the manager earlier today. It's just being careful of using investment income, because we've been in a time where investment income is so high, on using that to allocate towards reoccurring expenses. And I think that we have a plan going forward to make sure that that's appropriate, but just so the public knows that is in our plan.
May I, Mr. Thorne, clarify? That budget line is called investment income. For the audience sitting here, that's interest income for us. We don't make investments outside. I just want to clarify that for the public.
That's money that's been sitting in balance, earning interest, where in previous years had never earned interest before. And then just urge again, as someone that has a degree in finance, I have a hard time understanding vacancy allowance and having to go through these budgets at the end of the year, moving stuff around. So just urging us to move away from vacancy allowance. And I think that's in our plans going forward as well.
That's correct. As I mentioned earlier, our plan for next year is to no longer use that strategy, but to use a different strategy of putting positions in reserve.
So I think that'll
That
help.
looks like a lot of work. Going through each of these items to determine,
Now, I will say that still at the end of the year, as we need to true up line items, I won't necessarily promise you won't get a long budget amendment like this, but it does further complicate it when we're trying to stay within the confines of the vacancy allowance.
And then, two more questions, or, yeah, 7 is, that's just a reimbursement from the state for that work that was being done, and now the state's just doing that in-house?
That's correct. They used to give us the money, our staff in DSS would approve who would get it and write checks directly to the recipient. Now that's being processed from the state directly to the recipient.
Okay. And then, last one, in your budget amendments, number 13, that you approved, can you speak to what the fees and penalties for $9,000 and $9,007 were?
Yes, we have to analyze, for all of our staff, we have to do a report, and we have a firm that assists us with that. Federal law says that any employee that's full-time, actually over a certain number of hours, we have to offer them health insurance. Sometimes we have, so it's pretty clear when it's just 20 hours, which is most of our part-time staff. Sometimes we will have staff that may cross over that threshold during the year that we did not pick up. And so when that report is done, and there were any staff members that did cross that threshold and we didn't offer them health insurance, then there's a penalty that we have to pay for that. And I can't recall how many, Rod, do you remember how many it was? I can follow and let you know how many employees that was.
Are we going to create a system where we can track that? I know we've overhauled our HR, but can we put a system in place so that it doesn't happen again?
Yes, and I know Ms. Bess and other staff have met with the firm that we're working with to make sure we put some systems in place to better catch that.
All my questions.
Anybody else? All in favor, let it be nobody vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, amendments passed. Next, Ms. Evans.
Next is attachment number 4 regarding capital projects ordinance. This is amendment number 1. Before you is amendment number 1 to the county capital projects fund ordinance for FY23. The original ordinance included a little over $1.5 million to construct a new roof at the detention center. This project was completed under budget at an amount of $1,052,551, leaving $525,343 in the project line. There are 2 elevators in the Human Services building, one of which is currently not operable and needs to be replaced as opposed to repaired at an estimated cost of $500,000. Amendment number 1 will create a new budget line within this project ordinance to allow the transfer of the remaining detention center roof funds into a newly created elevator modernization line. Therefore, I recommend that you approve amendment number 1 to the capital projects ordinance as presented.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any questions?
I'd like to make a recommendation here. This proposal as is presented is recommending to reappropriate all $525,343 that's left over from that project to the elevator project, whereas our estimated repair cost for the elevator is $500,000. For the board that may not know, our Sheriff Training Center desperately needs a new roof, and they've been asking for that in capital improvement projects. This is a project that was in the detention center, and that project came in under budget. My request would be, they're estimating now that that's going to cost $50,000, but could we take the $25,000 extra above the $500,000 and put towards that project, even though there's a gap there, and give them something to start with on repairing that roof at that training center. They use that training center all the time. They have a competition there on May 22nd. They use it weekly, if not daily, for the sheriffs that are there. It's a very nice facility. And we just haven't been able to put a roof on it at the time. And there's more reasons in there, but.
Have we had a request to do that roof?
We've discussed it. One of the issues with the training center is that part of the property is located in the floodway. So if you know, like the river, then right at the river is the floodway. You can't build anything. Of course, that, you know, the original building was built a long time ago. Then from that is a 100-year floodplain, 200, so on and so forth. Because part of that property is in the floodway, we cannot get it insured for flood damage. So which has been our practice in the past to, we do budget money and budget funds for operational costs, lights, utilities, what have you, but we have not made significant investment in the building itself because of that. Now, certainly, whatever the board would like to do, we will do that. I would perhaps recommend that let us bid the elevator out first and see what that comes in, to see it may come back way over the 500,000, may come back way under, that there may even be more available than this.
And I would have no objection with us doing the roof, okay? I would have no objection.
I do want to note that one of the things we'll be looking at, there's front and back in the elevator in the human service building. Basically, they've been, for the last 4 or 5 years, they've been taking turns breaking down. I think they call each other in the middle of the night. And it is the back elevator or the front elevators down? The rear staff elevator, so all staff and citizens using the front elevator, so it's wearing it out. We're really hoping it comes in way under our estimate. Our estimate is...
This is for a new elevator.
Well,
We're talking about,
it was renovated but when we bought the building. Some work was done to the elevators when we bought the
well,
building.
you're saying this $500,000 to put a new elevator in. That's what it's-
It will totally redo the mechanisms, I guess I'll say, of the elevator. It will be like a brand-new elevator with that correct. So they may come back in and surprise us like the roof at the detention center did. That really surprised us. And we may be able to do both elevators, maybe both elevators and that. So I certainly hear your point, Mr. Thorne. I would recommend that let us bid those out, bid the elevator out, and see what the bids look like.
You all right there, Mr. Thorne?
Yeah, but I don't necessarily, can we table this until we get all the bids and then we make that adjustment?
Well, I think you could put your motion on the table where it passes, and I'm opposed to tabling it, okay? But if that's your, whatever you want to do with it. But I think we need to move ahead with the elevators. In terms of, we also, I think there needs to be, you're initiating this request to do the repairs on the roof. I have not seen a request come to this board to do other than from you. And I think that if the sheriff wants us to do that roof down there, if he submits that request, I think we need to consider it. Not just the $23,000 that you're talking about. I think we need to consider doing the roof, which would be...
He may have submitted it to the manager already.
Well, I don't think he's going, any requests that come in, I think, unless they might have talked about it, okay, but it's not been on this agenda, okay? It's not something that the board knows about, okay? And if there's a request coming in, I'm saying put it on the agenda, okay, and let the board make that consideration of it. I have no objections if we need a roof. You know, I've been to the center and I know that I have no objection. We've used it, okay? So let us make a consideration, not on a partial amount of whether we're going to do it or on the total project. That would be my request.
As the Risk Management Chair for the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners, we also have to keep in consideration, as you said, we cannot get flood insurance for that building. So we've got to be careful.
I don't mean we don't need to fix it.
When you add things and then you can't get it insured, that is a risk under your risk management policy.
You mean we don't have risk for the use of it? We don't have no kind of insurance on it?
No flood insurance.
No flood insurance. Well, no flood insurance, all of it's best to keep it up. So we have to make a determination on whether we're going to keep it up. I'm not concerned about that part of it. I'll be concerned if it was public use of the building in terms of whether we could get that kind of insurance. But I'm saying, bring us a request for it, for the total amount, and let the board consider whether they're going to fix the roof or not. There's a motion on the second. All in favor, let it be known by a vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? 5-1. Motion passed 5-1. Move on next. What's that?
Mr. Chairman and Board, May is Older Americans Month, and we have with us tonight Ms. Deborah Coley, who's our Director of Aging, who's going to come and present this resolution for your consideration.
Good evening.
Good evening.
A resolution recognizing National Older Americans Month in Edgecombe County. Whereas May is nationally recognized as Older Americans Month, a time to acknowledge the contributions of older adults in our community and to raise awareness about issues affecting them all. Whereas since 1963, the Older Americans Month has been a time to celebrate the achievements and vital contributions of older adults throughout the nation. Whereas the theme for Older Americans Month 2024 is Connect, Create, Contribute. Encourages older adults in their communities to connect with friends, family, and local services, create through activities that promote learning, health, and personal enrichment, and contribute time, talent, and life experience to benefit others. Whereas Edgecombe County, North Carolina recognizes the importance of honoring our older residents and appreciate the wealth of knowledge, experience, and wisdom that they bring to our community. And whereas, according to the latest census data, Edgecombe County is a home to nearly 10,000 older adults aged 65 and older, comprising 21.2% of the total population. And this number expects to grow in the coming years. Whereas Edgecombe County remains committed to promoting the health, safety, and well-being of all of its residents, including adults, by providing access to vital services, fostering a sense of community, and celebration of the diverse contribution of older adults. And therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners for Edgecombe County, North Carolina, does hereby recognize and celebrate Older Americans Month throughout the month of May 2024, and encourages all residents to honor and support our older adults in their endeavors to connect, create, and contribute to our community. Adopted this day, 6th day of May. Leonard Wiggins, Board Chair. Fran Mundo, Clerk.
And so that we can make her statement true, is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Question. All in favor, let it be known by the vote sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed, now it is adopted. Thank you so much, okay?
Commissioner Wiggins, I just wanted to say to the board, we are in the middle of trying to do a lot of wonderful things. We will be honoring, most of you remember Lorenzo Carmen. This was a collaboration of ours. And we decided we would honor 80-year-olds who lived in the county. Well, guess what? We got too many. We couldn't afford to do the 80-year-olds. So then we moved up to 90-year-olds. So now we're at 90. We're about to have too many. I'm currently, I don't know, I just learned how to pronounce this. Non-Nigerian. That's a 90-year-old. And then we got centurions. All right, so this year I'm going to honor our non-Nigerians and our centurions, and I'm up to 32. And I just need y'all to know that because y'all got to pay for part of it. Because we do a nice luncheon for them, and we do some things. We have congressional support. Don Davis has sent congressional greetings in the past, G.K. Butterfield. We've had awesome speakers, Erica Smith. Commissioner Webb has been our speaker at one point. So we try to do that. We give them a nice luncheon. Let me see what else. Oh, Reverend Joyner sends us Canita honey in a little bag, and Thorne's Drug is making, they don't know it yet, but they making a contribution this year. So we just try to do really wonderful.
You got a nice way of making folks participate. He's on record.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, we just plan to do some other things. I don't know if a lot of you know it. We do a senior breakfast the third Thursday in the month. We're off for the summer, and we have anywhere from 50 to 60 seniors that come, and they get a full breakfast, and they get information, because I'm of the opinion knowledge is power, and so we do that. May 29th, we are having Senior Awareness Day, where we will have most of the sheriff's office there, and Antoine. Dr. McLeod has agreed to let us use the facility, and he's going to come and welcome us. We are doing Senior Awareness Day, and we'll be set up, and we'll be talking about the other wonderful things we do in our community. Are You Okay? That's a program we have. Are You Okay? We do, what else? Help me. Oh, yeah, fire alarms, and we install them for senior citizens and put them up. So we try to make them aware of the good things, the community paramedic, where we have Narcan. I've even had to give one of my senior citizens some Narcan for one of their grandchildren, so, it happens. I just wanted to give you a brief overview of stuff we're doing. We're busy, and guess what? Our senior citizens are busy. Some of those 90-year-olds drive through the meetings, so, you get to be careful.
Do you have a date for that?
I do. May 23rd. That is not open to the public. We are inviting our non-Nigerians and our Centurions and some of their family members, because we couldn't afford it for that to be a public.
Because I want to make sure that you have the 90-year-old from my church who drives every Sunday and brings 3 ladies with her.
A pen. Who is that?
Her name is Geneva Avent.
I don't know if I have her. Okay. We have a 99-year-old. Well, Gladys Shelton is in that group, and she just stopped driving. And she was also on my board with Betty Lewis. And so, we have a lot of them that are still very active. Pine Tops did a senior event back in November, and they had 14 that were 90 or above. So, as I tell Eric, we can't be all that bad. We can't be that bad if people are living that long in Edgecombe County. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. You bring a little life to the meeting. Go ahead. Go ahead.
On her co-payments, and Mr. Pittman, thank you so much for the good, wonderful job you do. Whereas I made a terrible mistake, and I should have informed the board that one of our wonderful citizens down in Pine Tops in our district, Mr. Norfleet Sugg, passed away. And if he'd lived, I think I'm telling you right, if he'd lived 2 more months and 3 more days, he would be a centurion.
He would have been a centurion, and we did honor him in Pine Tops in November. And the one thing I want to say about many of our seniors is, Mr. Wiggins, is they've never been honored for anything. And this is extremely important to them. These are people who have worked in this community all their lives, and many of them have never been honored for anything. And they just get a kick out of it, that somebody's saying, we honor you. Oh, before I forget, Miss Cassie, I'm going to shut up. Eric, don't let me talk.
I'm going to shut you up, sir.
I love you too, Mr. Let me say this. Miss Cassie Smith is the one that Don Davis took to D.C. She got to meet the president. She has a picture with her and Joe Biden. And she was the first person to vote when Jerry Squirrel opened the polls on March 6th. And she is 109 years old.
In my district, and she voted for me.
I ain't got nothing else to say, Mr. President.
I can tell Stan to shut up. Okay. Well, I'm just joking. It's just, I enjoyed your presentation. Okay. Good presentation. Okay. Moving on, Mr.
Next is item D regarding a public safety grant. We've been awarded $23,000 by the North Carolina Department of Public Safety Emergency Management Division under the Hazardous Material Emergency Preparedness Grant Program. The purpose of the grant is to purchase equipment and to perform training exercises related to hazardous material emergencies. This grant is 100%. The project is 100% grant funded and requires no local match. It's recommended that you accept the grant award by adopting the project ordinance and authorizing me to execute the grant agreement.
Motion?
Motion.
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by a vote sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, is approved. Next.
Next is regarding the Governor's Highway Safety Program. We are receiving 2 grant awards from the North Carolina Governor's Highway Safety Program. The funds will be used to continue to designate a full-time deputy who addresses traffic collisions, speeding complaints, and other issues related to traffic safety and education. The first award is a continuation of the current grant we have, and the second is for a new grant award. Both require a match, as you see in the grant agreements. The match will come from funds already budgeted in the Sheriff's Office. I recommend that you accept both the North Carolina Governor's Highway Safety Grants as presented.
Motion?
So moved.
Second? Questions? All in favor, let it be known by a voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved. Next.
Item E is regarding our annual agreement with vocational rehab. Annually, we enter into an agreement with the North Carolina Division of Vocational Rehabilitation Services to assist eligible individuals in gaining employment. These services include counseling, training, education, transportation, job placement, assistive technology, and other support services. For those services, the county provides matching funds, which for FY25 will be $22,800. We also provide office space for their staff. I recommend that the board approves the attached agreement and authorize the chairman to execute the same.
Motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved. Next.
Next item is Town of Tarborough's annual application for their fireworks display has been reviewed by Mr. Antoine Brown, Emergency Service Director, and his team, and recommend that you approve as presented.
Motion.
Second.
Question. All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved. Next.
Next is regarding an offer to purchase for our Health and DSS campus at 3003 North Main Street. Before you use an offer to purchase for the Health and DSS campus located at 3003 North Main Street in the amount of $350,000. Although we have an appraised value of the property, which was recently completed during our tax revaluation, we felt that we may need an independent appraisal of the property. Therefore, we sent out a request for proposals for appraisal services. We were unsuccessful after 2 attempts, so we then reached out to individual appraisers and received several quotes, which I can review if you like. The value of the property, according to our most recent tax valuation, is a little over $2.5 million. With that in mind, we realize that offer to purchase is well below the value. However, the buildings are in need of stabilization. Below are estimated costs for stabilization of each building on the campus, and you'll see those there listed. Again, while we are aware that offer to purchase is well below the assessed value, we do feel that what the buyer is proposing will increase the value of the property, add much-needed housing in the county, and put the property back on our tax books. If you are open to considering this offer, I recommend that you authorize me to get an independent appraisal done for your review. The developers are here tonight to discuss their plans for the property. I would at this time like to invite Mr. Roy and Ms. Carmen Heichel to come forward, and they're going to review their proposed plans for the facility.
Please come forward.
Thank you.
Hello, thank you. Before we begin, my name is Carmen Heichel, and this is my husband, Roy Heichel. You did mention affordable housing, and you had a question about affordable housing. I have to say that as developers, that really just our 2 cents, that it really is an effort of the town, the county, developers. The price of construction is really the same here as Raleigh or anywhere else. We are working with the city of Rocky Mount. We were invited to bid on a project for affordable housing, and we're putting together a very nice proposal that includes alternative construction methods, also training the community on how to get approved for a mortgage. Like, we really put together a large team of lenders that will provide grants for down payment assistance, property managers that are local to the community, just creating jobs. It really needs to be a team effort, and for this, the city of Rocky Mount is providing the land as a grant to offset the cost of construction, so that we'll be happy to consult and work in partnership with the county.
Yeah, if I can add one thing, I don't even know if I need to bend down like this. The challenge with affordable housing is that it's not affordable to construct. And like my wife was saying, interest rates are expensive. It's 8% right now. And we're talking about folks with lower credit scores, so they're not getting the 7%. And they're financing a large piece of debt. And then the labor and the material, that hasn't gone down. I mean, inflation's still 3% year over year, so that's growing. So the question is that 30% rule that makes it affordable housing becomes very difficult to achieve on your own. And I've done the math, and it's tough. So what my wife is saying is it really is a holistic effort where you have to get subsidies for the developers, you have to get assistance for the buyers, the state has to get assistance from the federal. So it is a holistic approach. We've gone through this with the city of Rocky Mount, so we would love to give you our ears and our advice because we've just went through this, so it's very interesting.
But they can meet with our advisor, talk with our advisor, the new advisor, the manager will be
One thing we're looking into is alternative construction techniques because really concrete and framing, that's expensive, and the labor associated with it. There are innovative stuff coming through the pipeline, and
The other cities are using
Yeah.
to offset the cost of construction.
in the name of affordable housing, so it is very interesting stuff.
So back to just our.
to what you're here for.
Yes, what we're here for.
There's a clicker right here.
And we'll be quick, we know you guys are towards the end of your.
Go right ahead, go ahead. We've got time on this.
We can
So
skip through that, but,
go ahead and tell them the name, I guess.
oh, yeah. Riverside Lots of Tarboro, that's what we're proposing, and we'll walk you through that, and hopefully not as long as we prepared it, but you can skip through that. Just a little bit of background. Our company is a minority-owned, female-owned business, Heiko Homes. We also own Heiko Properties, which is our holding company. We have been investing for the past 4 or 5 years in Edgecombe County and specifically in Rocky Mount. We have some properties in Nash County as well. We are deeply rooted in Rocky Mount. Everyone thought we were crazy when we came. Most of our investor friends didn't think it was a good idea, but we really believed in the town, and we are so excited to be here. And then to have we met Eric through another project that we have in Rocky Mount, and he invited us to come and invest in Tarboro. We looked at this opportunity, and we see.
The one thing we've learned is not to listen to people. Because a lot of people are saying, don't invest in Rocky, don't invest in Edgecombe. There's nothing there for you. If we had listened, we would be where we were 5 years ago. The reason why we're growing is that there's municipalities like this that are investing in growth, and we're realizing that we can provide building services. So very exciting stuff. With this opportunity, this is on 3003 Main Street.
We have a presentation available, but this is basically the map of Rocky Mount where we have invested and so far $8 million.
What we're trying to say here is we didn't just come yesterday. We've been in Edgecombe in Nash County. I've paid so many property tax bills, it's unbelievable. And guess what? I've seen them rise this last year. And a lot of it for the improvements we've made on buildings, my tax bills are doubling. Go figure. But we're trying to tell you guys that we're here, we're legit, we're big, we're growing, we're young, we're eager, we're ambitious.
As part of everything that we've done in Rocky Mount, we have tried to stay local. We've developed partnerships with, construction workers, framers. We buy local. We real estate agents that list our properties, property managers. So we have slowly but surely developed an ecosystem of local businesses in the area.
Yeah, and it's out of necessity because not a lot of people are willing to travel 60, 70 miles from Raleigh to do work in Rocky. So we really have grown a nice ecosystem in the county.
So just a little bit of our experience. In Rocky Mount, we have a project that we call the Downtown Villas. It's on South Grace Street. We'll show you pictures of the before and after. We have done projects really all over the place, but these are similar size in Durham, and now we're developing 12 acres in Rocky Mount, also Edgecombe County. Just more properties that we have renovated. But this is a good example, is what we call the Downtown Villas. It's on the corner of South Grace and Western Avenue. These two properties were in the list of dilapidated homes, a problem child for the city of Rocky Mount. We didn't know that when we bought them. And then we renovated them into duplexes, and they are now actually not short-term, but mid-term housing for nurses that work here in the hospital, and they have nowhere to stay because the hotel is too expensive. So they actually travel all the way to Rocky Mount. We get messages saying, hey, I'm working in Tarboro. Also professionals that come to the area and they have nowhere to stay in Tarboro. Nowhere, nice and safe. We have security system, we have internet, it's fully furnished, pots, pans. So that has worked really well in Rocky Mount. There's 4 units there. I think it was a barber shop before, or a daycare center, one of the two, one each. They're an apartment at the first floor, one on the second floor, and then there was the empty lot in between, that's the plan for the entire development.
And we're talking about a development where people are crossing through the lots, smoking cigarettes, just not a very beautiful.
Right, it was a very dangerous corner.
And we've turned it.
For-
We have successfully turned it. I mean, and we've got plans to build more units as well, but this is the one we just completed. Eric, this is the one we took you and Michael to in February.
So we did a duplex there, also fully furnished. Again, these are professionals that come to the area where they can afford to pay a hotel. Nurses mainly, doctors, or, we have all sorts of professionals.
Technicians, contractors.
Technicians, yeah. When they're opening business in the area and it takes more than a couple of days, they need an extended stay, so we rent minimum of 1 month. That was the empty lot before, and that's the corner of South First Street. So because of that, other investors that follow what we do try to buy around where we are because they know now the valuation is good. So at that corner is really thriving.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where success begets success. Like there is such a thing as momentum. A lot of people consider it as intangible, but it's real. You invest in a corner, guess what? Everything around you is going to grow. And that was true of our project in Durham.
In Durham also. When we bought those properties, the tenants there had not paid rent for almost 10 years. They were just living there.
Dealing drugs and doing just bad stuff.
We found bullet holes in the doors, needles everywhere. It was a very scary, in a corner, everybody thought I was crazy. Even my employees were scared to work there. But now, once we began renovation, someone bought the empty lot next to us. Someone bought the empty lot, the house, and tore it down behind us and in front of us. And now it's a really pretty street. I don't know if anybody here knows Mike Allen from, he's a realtor in Rocky Mount, but he listed these properties for me, even though they're in Durham. He manages our properties in Rocky Mount, and he called me and said several neighbors sent him an email saying thank you for doing this. And Mike said, well, I can't take credit, but they all sold.
And what we try to do, it looks luxurious, but honestly, for us to make any margin in this business, it has to be affordable. And like a lot of the stuff that goes in here, it's through design where the value is created. So these pictures are beautiful, but they are also commensurate for the market rent. Whatever is in the market is what we're trying to go for, at least when it comes to this type of development that we're looking for. Yeah, I guess this is
just another example of an eyesore that we turn into something pretty.
So
this is 3003 North Main Street, current state. It's decaying. It's been in not use for 10 years, I believe. I was told, right, Eric? About 10 years. The property on the left side, not that one. Well, that one is decaying. It has mold. It has structural issues, and then the other properties, just the roof is caving in, and so it's full of water and mold inside. So it will take significant, just like all the other properties that we have purchased in the past, it will take significant effort, financial and labor intensive to bring them up. But we see potential. I think the location is great because it's in a good, well, if you go back, it's in a good area between Kingsborough and downtown Tarboro. I think I see full of possibilities. Can you go to next? Okay, So the challenges are the further deterioration, the longer it sits there, the more it loses its value. It's a safety hazard. Again, it could have asbestos. I mean, we've been looking into it, getting quotes also. There's no revenue for the county, and because of all of this together, it's very hard to get lending for a regular purchase of a property like this. But we are visionaries, so if you can skip to that, we can get to the point. So we think this could be the riverside lofts of Tarboro, and we could create, we hire a
You
CAD
saying you're gonna
designer.
make that White House look like that?
Yes. Did you see my previous presentation?
I was skeptical about her 5 years ago. She's won me over. I'm a finance and numbers person, so I'm always thinking about the risk that you guys were talking about. She can do it. I attest to that.
She has a vision.
She does.
Okay.
And what is your vision for this? Like in this building?
Yeah. So our vision is to keep the history. I know the building on the right, I believe, has a plaque on the front showing the age of the building and the special, how it was used before. But my vision is to maintain exactly the architecture and just renovate it. We'll renovate it inside, paint it, and bring it to its glory. But use the original structure to create mini apartments, basically. So studio apartments, 500 square feet, 1,000. So studio, 1-bedroom and 2-bedroom apartments. Some of them for midterms, so that when professionals come to the area or to Kingsborough, they don't have to go to our other place in Rocky Mount. They can just stay in Tarboro and then be patrons of the downtown restaurants that are nearby. If you can skip. So that's the building on the left-hand side. In my opinion, we can do that as an amenities building with a gym and a coffee shop and then laundry services for the tenants of the 2 other buildings. And there's a coffee shop. There's also nearby businesses there that could benefit from
You said 2 other buildings, the White House and the health department, is that included?
You got a mental health.
And
building.
All 3 of
And the mental health
those,
Yes.
those buildings.
So could you go back 2 slides and make sure we're oriented to which is which? So,
I know what that is.
so we know what that is.
Yeah.
That's all the
You can
assessment.
go-
And that's at White House.
That's the building.
Yep.
Right. And that right there is what we know as the mental health building on the
Right,
left.
right.
Right.
So where's the health department?
And then the next one,
That's the one on the right.
this is the building on the right, that's right, the old health department building.
Okay.
Well, I think the question is, Mr. Evans is asking if what we think about it, or does he need to proceed with getting an appraisal on it?
Yes, sir.
What is the thinking of the board?
And just to let you know, so the lowest quote we have for an appraisal on those buildings is $5,000.
What is the feeling of the board? Any comments from the board on it?
I'm in favor of getting an appraisal, seeing what the value is and moving forward.
Well, and
if you wanna
then,
make
and
it-
then we'll determine in terms of what the offer is, okay? There appears to be no objections from this board. I hear none. That's the way we proceed.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
It's
Yes?
gonna look like that.
And if I have one parting word, both of us are terribly impatient. So when we are ready to roll, we are ready to roll. This isn't something that would happen in 2026, 2027.
Right.
You give us a green light, we've got
Well,
things in plan.
I see one of the conditions, what you Tarboro, what is the zoning?
Right.
You
It
gotta-
says contingent
It's
upon
contingent
confirmation
upon
of rezoning.
or whatever Tarboro does, that Tarboro has to rezone this. okay?
Right.
And that was my other question.
Yes.
Since they're gonna name it Riverside of Tarboro, is Tarboro gonna have any skin in the game?
We can name it Riverside of Edgecombe County.
Well,
That's what I like.
I don't have any problem with what you name it.
Got it.
Get past Tarboro, okay? Okay.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, we'll appreciate it.
When will Tarboro be,
I
do
think
they
we-
have a time span of when they will be taking this up?
So what'll have to happen next, we'll get the appraisal, we'll bring it back to you, show you the appraisal, then you will have to officially accept the offer as made. Then we have to go with the 10-day upset bid period. So we'll publish it. Anyone who wants to upset it will have 10 days to do that. Then after that, that will give them the go-ahead to go and submit or a zoning application, or I think it might be a special use permit with the town of Tarboro.
Is that special use permit?
That's right. So it's a little bit,
So
it'll be a
the
little.
offer is going to be contingent upon them being able to get it resolved? Okay. Is that correct, right?
And we can structure the, the conveyance in that way.
So it won't be sold if it don't get rezoned?
I'll make sure I go to that Tarboro meeting that
I know
night.
that's
I'm a
right.
citizen
You
of
gonna make
Tarboro.
They gonna make that White House look like that.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Do we need an action on that, Mr. Evans?
No, sir.
We're moving forward, okay? We're moving forward with it, but thank you for coming, okay? I would love to see it happen, okay? Next,
Next is regarding our CDBG Neighborhood Revitalization Grant. We've been awarded $950,000 in the CDBG Neighborhood Revitalization Program. This program will allow us to provide funding for the renovation and replacement of substandard housing for low to moderate income families. I recommend that you accept the grant award by adopting the attached resolutions and project budget ordinance.
motion?
So moved.
Second. Question? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved. Appointments.
So first, Mr. Chairman, you have two additional appointments for the Getting Off the List Advisory Boards. You'll see there on the first page under the Health Equity Advisory Board, the appointment of our new Parks and Recreation Director, Mr. Kelvin Jones, and I'll more formally introduce him in a minute, but he will fill the recreation-related seat on that board, that advisory board. Also, under the Education and Workforce Development Board, you have Ms. Linda Joyner, who's the career counselor for Rocky Mount OIC. We're still pursuing some other interested parties, but I do recommend that you appoint those two as presented.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second? Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, appointments are approved. Moving on.
Then you have for Turning Point Workforce Development Board, Dr. LaShonda Washington and Ms. Diane Thomas are eligible for reappointment and recommended for that.
Motion to approve?
So moved.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, they are approved. You moving forward with them.
Have after lists and releases, happy to answer any, nothing to point out in particular, but happy to answer any questions that you may
Is
have.
there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, they are approved. Contract for review and approval, anything to be brought to our attention, Mr. Evans?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, you have change order number 2 for Owens Roofing Incorporated. It's actually decreasing the contract by almost $56,000. Trash Hounds doing business as Top Dog LLC. The change order number 2 is increasing that contract. We do have contract number, the third contract is contract extension with Crowder Gulf. You'll recall Crowder Gulf is our contractor that does debris removal in emergency situations. It is a 5-year contract, recommending that we do extend that. I would suggest, Chairman Wiggins, that that you approve the first 2 change orders. For the third, which is the change order for Crowder Gulf, I would suggest that Commissioner Powell be excused from voting, because as you'll recall, in this contract moving forward, her property is one of the properties that will be receiving some services from that.
Is there a motion for the first 2?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, it is approved. Is there a motion to excuse Ms. Powell from the next vote?
So moved.
Second. Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign, aye. Ms. Powell, you are excused. Is there a motion to approve the Crowder Gulf contract?
So moved. Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign, aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, the contract is approved. Moving on, next is departmental report.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, we have the water and sewer update. Happy to answer any questions you might have. Have your monthly financial summary, if you'd like Ms. Barfield to come and give you an overview of
Please do,
that.
please do.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
It's always an honor to stand before you. I'm happy to be here tonight. Our revenue trends for April continue to demonstrate growth in terms from March to April. However, our April expenditure levels exceeded our revenues for the month, reflecting timing between expenditures and reimbursable revenues in the general fund. It is important to note that our financial reports are based on data available at the time of the preparation. So they're a snapshot of all the data available to us at the time that we have to pull and compile the reports to get them ready for the meeting. So just keep in mind that with these reports, they're always subject to our final accounting and our final close of the month. In terms of budget utilization, we continue to effectively manage our budget with a substantial portion of anticipated revenues already realized. Our current expenditure utilization overall has remained within our budgeted expectations. There was some conversation tonight about if you take some from the whole, some of those departments that have vacancy allowances where we had to do some reallocations with some projected overruns. We were able to use revenues that we've earned in the current year to pay for those, and that also helps us to not have to come back before the board of you as the board and ask for additional fund balance appropriation. In terms of our strategic focus, financial stability remains a cornerstone of our approach, ensuring that expenditures are aligned with our strategic objectives, especially, we do a lot of work and focus on getting off the list. So we continue to manage our budget and ensure that every dollar that we're spending in some way, shape, or form gets us back to getting off those lists. In terms of looking ahead, we are optimistic about our financial trajectory at June 30th, and we are committed to closely monitoring our financial performance and making any adjustments as needed. And I'll take any questions you
Any
have.
questions? Thank you. Manager's report.
First under manager's report is the Open Door to Edgecombe series. We'll follow up on that today. I'll make my way over here to pull that presentation up. So first of all, let me recognize and give credit to Mr. Stan Liverman. I want him to stand, let everybody get a good look at him. First of all, I got to give him credit. Got to stand. So first of all, he is responsible for the vast majority of the slides in this presentation, but also, more importantly, he and his team and others, there's some staff in Department of Social Service and Health Department who are responsible for maintaining these facilities. So just want to say thank you, Stan, to you and your team. So just as a reminder, the purpose of us doing this Open Door to Edgecombe, this will be our third installment, is to educate and inform on the fundamental structure and functions of government is where we started. And we believe that the better our residents understand our organization, the better our organization can serve our residents. That's why we're doing this series, and excited to be able to sort of pull the veil back a little bit, if you will, on the operations of the county. Just as a reminder, this is part of our two-sided vision statement. This is the side that faces our citizens. This is where we're striving to work very hard to help our citizens to realize this vision for our county. The other side of that vision faces us as an organization. This is who we need to be so that we can help our citizens and residents to achieve that vision. So tonight I just want to briefly talk about county facilities. When I first became manager back October 1, 2015, and I first walked into the office that I had been in 1,000 times, but this time I was sitting on a different side of the desk. For 14 years, Mr. Carmen was sitting on the other side of the desk. I must tell you, the weight gets much heavier once you cross that threshold to the back side of that desk. And so within the first week or so, I guess I was contemplating all of the responsibilities that now was falling upon my shoulders as county manager. And early in that thought process, I realized that part of my responsibility, but down through our team, is the responsibility of being good stewards of our facilities. We have facilities that are not only functional, where we can sit down and do business as we are tonight, but in a lot of ways become landmarks within our communities. And so that's it is a high responsibility we take very seriously, and I wanted our citizens to have some idea of how many facilities we have and the responsibility we have in maintaining those. So this is the County Administration Building. This is obviously the building that we are sitting in here today. This is sort of the hub of the wheel, if you will, and this is where our main functioning for our board meetings, and many of our staff members actually should have showed this slide first. First, let me give you an overview, and that is we have a total of 21 buildings. Now, there's some smaller buildings, smaller facilities that we own and maintain. Like, for example, to each of our convenience sites, there's a building there that operator works from. I'm not counting those, but in buildings per se, we have 21 buildings we're responsible for, almost 400,000 square feet under roof. The oldest was built in 1912, which is right next to the Human Services Building, and the newest is built, it says 2023. The building was actually built before then. We just brought it under our responsibility, and that being the new DMV building there at 100 East Hope Lodge Street, which we just did a grand opening last week. But again, our main building is our county administration building, in which we now sit. 4 floors. We're on the second floor here. It is, one of the larger buildings here in downtown Tarboro. Also, almost right next to us, a building in between, but probably the most iconic building here in the town, if not the entire county, is our courthouse. It was built in 1964, houses our judicial system, lots of our partners there. On Thursday, I think it was, when I attended the National Day of Prayer gathering there at Town Square between Main Street and St. Andrew Street, and was sitting there facing that building. It was a very beautiful day, and I was reminded of how beautiful that building is. And so we take that responsibility seriously and take pride in that building. In fact, we just spent some money in power washing and painting outside of that building, so it was sparkling extra nice on last week when we had that. I'm not going to really go into details about each one of these, but just to give you some feeling, behind the courthouse is the probation office there, which most probation and parole uses that building. Our maintenance shop is just across the street behind us here, as we're staying in his team, store some tools and other things. The Human Services Building is our largest building. That is just a little over a block from here. Was formerly owned by the telephone company. We bought that and moved our health and DSS staff from 3003 North Main Street that we just talked about a few minutes ago into this newly renovated building. The county spent a lot of money in renovating that building. It's a very nice building. It has lots of space in it. It has a very nice clinic on the 6th floor there, so that building has been serving as well. Right next to it is actually attached to it, as I mentioned, the oldest building in our fleet, if you will, which is that's the original home of Carolina Telephone and Telegraph. That building there, we don't use it much now. We're exploring some opportunities with that building, but we do own and own that building and are responsible for it. Emergency Operations Center, you'll recall back when we used to have emergency situations like flooding situation in Floyd in '99 and Matthew in 2016, we have to be able to gather as a team to be able to operate within this emergency response framework. And so we do that framework is called an Emergency Operations Center. We used to have to go over and excuse ourselves in the sheriff's office back there. He was always glad to welcome us there, but we were sort of cramped in space. But we operated from there in both Floyd and Matthew. Since then, most people know it as the Armory. The National Guard moved out of this building some years ago. We jointly own this with the town of Tarboro. The town indicated they didn't have a need for it, so they conveyed their interest to us, and we have turned that into our Emergency Operations Center. So it has been serving us well. Mr. Brown, who had to leave early tonight, he and his staff have their offices out there. We have a permanently established EOC center, so when something happens, we don't have to set up computers. It's already there and ready for us. This is an aerial photo from the drone that the county owns of the Sheriff's Office and Detention Center out on Anaconda Road, utility shop, which is at the corner, almost at the corner of McNair Road and Anaconda Road. The new DMV building, as I mentioned a moment ago, used to be First South Bank, and now is operational as the DMV driver's license office. This is our existing animal shelter. This is on the back side of the facilities we were discussing with the Heichels. They're on 3003 North Main Street.
Would that be included in the property that we were talking about?
It would not be. We would subdivide that to maintain that for our use, and they are aware of that. This is, as we call it, the old health department. Again, one of the buildings we were just talking about. Though the other two buildings have been vacant since we moved from North Main Street to the Human Services building, we have used this building some. You may recall after Hurricane Matthew, the town of Princeville used the building just behind this. We refer, that used to be where home care and hospice operated from. Also, the United Methodist Church, their disaster response center for operations was here in this building. And in fact, they were good tenants of ours, and they did some minor repairs in the building to help us keep the building up. This is the building that's just behind it. It is only connected by a breezeway. It's referred to as the Meadows building. This is where the town of Princeville had their temporary town hall, as well as we made some space available for our partners with the state and federal government and in responding to Hurricane Matthew. This is the old DSS building, originally built as the county nursing home. This is the mental health building. If you're facing that building, it is to the left, old mental health building there. And as you all know, that when we brought EMS in-house, it used to be operated by a separate entity, Edgecombe Rescue. In 2021, we brought that in-house and made it part of our emergency management, emergency services department. We also brought in our buildings those EMS stations. This is referred to as Station 200 here in Tarboro. This is Station 300 on Seven Bridges Road. This is Station 400 on Pine Tops Crisp Road. This is Station 500 on Meadowbrook Road, just outside of city limits of Rocky Mount. And so when we brought that in-house, we brought in those three buildings. This is Rocky Mount Health Department. For almost 3 years, we did not operate out of that. During COVID, we were so short-staffed, we didn't have enough clinical staff to operate 2 clinics. So we primarily focused here at the Human Services Building in Tarboro. We did do some COVID testing and vaccinations here, but we were not open on 5 days a week. As the board knows, we went in and made some investments to renovate that building, and now we do have a presence there in Rocky Mount Monday through Friday. And so thank you to the board for agreeing to allow us to make some investments in that. This is a Rocky Mount branch of our Department of Social Services on Fairview Street. We've also we've done a number of repairs there. We did a roof there, some other things over the last couple of years. Also, this is an aerial photo of our landfill on Colonial Road. This is on the transfer station side So you'll see sort of that, almost like a baseball pitcher's mound there in the middle. That is the convenience site that's located there on Colonial Road. The road that goes into the right, you'll see it, the road that branches off to the right and goes way in the back. That's the road that goes back there to our borrow pit. That's where we get dirt to take on the opposite side of the road, which is where we have our C&D landfill. If you don't hook that right there at the scale, and you'll see that there's the what we call the transfer station that is there near the back of the property. That's where our municipal solid waste, it comes in, it goes into trailers, and then it is shipped off to the regional landfill in Bertie County. So I'd never seen an aerial photo of that until Stan showed me that. I thought that was a good picture. Then that's a closer picture of a view of the transfer station I just talked about. On the left-hand side, that is the packer that's working on top of our C&D landfill. That's on the right-hand side of Colonial Road, and then there are some appurtenant buildings there to the picture on the right. This is one of our convenience sites. This is the one located on Wells Road. We have 9 of those convenience sites. Most of those look similar to this in layout, is to be convenient for folks to bring in who live in the county, who pay that solid waste fee on their property tax bill. They can bring in municipal solid waste and in limited amounts some other things like C&D and some furniture and what have you. I'm not showing you all of the pictures of the other 8. They all look similar to this one. So that is an overview of the facilities that we are responsible for here in Edgecombe County. Again, as I mentioned, these buildings are extremely important for us because this is where we do our work, but also in a lot of cases, these buildings are very important landmarks for our county. So we're happy to provide this service for our citizens. And just as a preview, next month we'll talk some about our leadership team down to our department heads. So thank you all for the opportunity to open the door to Edgecombe. Next is update on Charters of Freedom. You'll recall we had a presentation at April's meeting? No, February's meeting, I believe it was. Had a gentleman come in to present on Charters of Freedom. For those who in the audience who may not have heard about that, this is where our national documents or replicas of our national documents are put on display in a prominent place within a town. That includes our Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and a couple of others. This organization, they have raised money to pay for the actual, what they call the settings of these documents. They ask for the local government or local participants to cover other costs and to provide a space for it to be located. So a committee met on Friday to discuss potential location of the of this display, these settings, if you will. And I think the group agreed that the best place for it to be will be here in front of the courthouse, that's right down the street from us. This is, if you're facing the building, the right end of the front of the courthouse. What we've determined that it would be best to be displayed somewhere between the corner of that building and over there by where that tree and those bushes are. We do have to come back off of that knee wall a little bit because there's a water line over there, I believe. So the gentlemen from the Charters of Freedom, they were in the meeting with us, and they all agreed. Yes, sir. They joined us remotely. Okay. They all agreed that this is a great location for it. They look for it to be connected to some other prominent building. They want it to be very visible. It needs to be open and available, 24 hours, 24/7. And they like for it to be in a place that already has significant foot traffic. So we know that on this side of the courthouse, there's a lot more foot traffic coming between the courthouse and here than it is on the other side of the building. It is in close proximity. If I was actually standing there in front of that car, behind me is Courthouse Square, and there's always a lot of activity there. So the committee agreed that this would be the best location for the Articles of Freedom. The next step would be they will have a construction manager to come out. If you all agree that this is a good place where we need to look at having it, they will send their construction manager out as soon as they can come out to very closely look at the site. We talk about potential layout. Again, they will only pay for the settings. That is, the actual structures that have these documents in them. If we want anything else around it, if we want shrubbery, if we want, benches to sit on, other lighting, things like that, we looked at other places, and some have pretty much just the settings themselves and not much else. We've seen some that have had, elaborate water fountains around it and all kinds of things. And so I think, there's some range there. But
That we didn't get at the original presentation. Okay, go ahead.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. And how much extra you want is totally up to us. And so, if you're still interested in this, if you all as a group think that this is a good place for the location of it, we will invite them to send their construction manager here. And then we'll follow up with some recommendations about that and anything else we might want to recommend to
That
do
the
with
committee
it.
will decide on.
Yes, sir.
We'd like to commit it to it.
Yes,
Let's talk about it, okay?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Any objections from the board? Feels that we're hearing none, Ms. Evans. So
All right.
We can move forward with that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. You have my major events and updates, workforce development indicators, and the TDA financial report. Happy to answer any questions that you might have. Now I do want to more formally introduce you to our new Parks and Recreation Director. I asked for Mr. Jones, if he would, to come up to the podium here. This is just for background and context, maybe some who are here tonight. The board approved about 3-4 years ago a comprehensive Parks and Recreation plan. That plan included things like to create a Parks and Recreation Advisory Board, which we did, and they meet on a monthly basis, and also to create a Parks and Recreation Director position and to fund that position. So the board has already approved that. It's in our new compensation plan, and we budgeted this year to add this position after a rigorous search and somewhat of a belabored process of interviews. I know Mr. Jones is probably wondering what's taking these folks so long, but we want to make sure that we brought on the right person, and I know we've absolutely found the right person. We're very happy to have Mr. Jones. This is his second week. He's starting his second week with us, and so I want to introduce to you all the county's first Parks and Recreation Director. Mr. Jones, anything like that?
Good evening. How are you guys?
Good.
So I stand here honored and excited to be the first. One of my main goals is inclusion, meaning get all the municipals together and re-image recreation. When you think Parks and Rec, you automatically think sports. When in actuality, the definition of recreation is activity that provides leisure. So there's a lot of ways, there's a lot of things that Parks and Rec we can do to evolve and bring new energy to Edgecombe County, as well as have everybody feel inclusive in Edgecombe County. So that's one of my initiatives. That's the things that I will be looking forward to do. I would love to see all of you there, and we expect full participation because once we start rolling, we'll be rolling. All right.
Well, I say, any comments from the board?
Are you from Edgecombe? Right.
I am from Edgecombe County. I'm a Tarboro graduate. I graduated in 2013. Speaking on the interview process, I did 8 years in the Army, and I wasn't near nervous as much as I was during this process. This was an extremely long process. Started in like the end of November, so this was an extremely long process. It was challenging for myself, but with the support of my wife and my family, we were able to get through it, and I'm excited to see what we can do here. It's definitely a welcome home present.
Well, we hope to keep you home.
Homegrown.
If you do everything you just said, you home. Are you stressed right now?
No, sir.
Oh, good, okay. Well, welcome on behalf of the board. You don't act like you're stressed. You're coming in well, okay? You made a good presentation. So, welcome. I I like your presentation and the comments that you made in terms of what you see as a vision. You're right, we do think of just playing basketball and football and those things, and I think that if you sell that vision, I believe that you can get the communities on board, because we need what you're proposing, okay? And I think that the boards will support you, okay, in terms of maybe what your vision is, and that's what we need. We need youth. We need new energy in our community, and right now we're gonna say you're a good hire until you prove that you're not.
No, won't happen.
So welcome aboard, okay?
I do
On behalf of the
And thank you
board.
for your service.
Thank you for the support.
And, you know, and that says a lot. 8 years of military discipline, okay? I believe you bring to us a discipline, okay?
Yes, sir.
And welcome home.
Thank you so much.
Okay. I ain't gonna ask you to pay you. That's between you and him, okay? Okay.
It's interesting, to the board members, when he started last week, I said, okay, well, first order of business, I need to start introducing him to everybody that he needs to know to do his job. Well, that didn't take long, because he already knows everybody.
Okay.
In fact, on his first day, was scheduled to go to a meeting that Mayor Jones has been hosting at his place to discuss a potential recreational facility in Princeville that some of the surrounding towns could. And so we had a series, I've been to those. I said, well, that's great, Mr. Jones' first day, or Kelvin his first day, and take him. He walked in, he already knew Mayor Jones, knew half the people in the room already. This morning, I found out he and I were meeting. He needs to introduce me to some people. So he's been military service, lived here. He's done coaching. A lot of people know him as Coach K, I think, and has done a lot of community work, done some work in the school system. So he has that built-in network that he brings with him, and I think he's going to be. I think my job is to support him and get out of his way, really, is what I need.
Where you housed him?
So he's working remotely. He does spend some time there in my office when he's here, but he's working remotely. We do have a space issue, and we'll be talking about that in budget some. But
That should sound like the armory we got space there.
well, actually, we got another building in mind, so.
Well, I'll leave that alone. Okay.
I got 2 firefighters I need to put out there at the armory
Don't
building.
through with that, okay? I'm through with that, okay. Anything else to come?
I do, Mr. Chairman. We're certainly always happy to have Dr. Greg McLeod here, president of Edgecombe Community College. I'm going to ask him if he'll come up to the podium while he's making his way. As you know, that we have, in partnership with the community college, we've invested some funds in a series of programs under the umbrella of Edgecombe Works. He gave you an update on that back at your retreat in March. He's going to give you some follow-up on that. Being that these are new programs we're rolling out, we see some adjustments that need to be made. In addition to the Edgecombe Works Earn As You Learn, the Promise program, and the Academy program, we'd also budgeted $50,000 that we thought we were going to be using to support another effort. I don't want to steal his thunder, but he'll get into some explanation for that. Overall, this has been, I think, a worthwhile investment, and we are grateful for the work that Dr. McLeod and his team have been doing to help us move in this direction. So,
thank you, sir. Greetings and good evening, commissioners, administrators, staff, citizens, visitors, and guests. It's great to be here with you all, and thank you for having me. Since it's been a long day, I've already lost my voice, so please bear with me.
Long night with us, huh?
Yes. No. But yes, as Manager Evans mentioned, I did come before you all at a recent gathering to share about the Edgecombe Works Initiative, and that is going well. I do have a few updates to share with you all regarding that. He mentioned 3 pillars of that program: the Earn As You Learn portion, the Academy portion, and the Promise portion. So the Promise portion is geared towards your county citizens. And so just to share with you all, since September, because we were not able to launch it as soon as you all approved the budget over the summer, but since September, we've had a number of students who are not necessarily your straight out of high school students, but students who range in age from young adults to older adults. And so we've had, just for example, going on right now, not just citizens, but even some of your employees, we have an Office Skills Academy going on right now for 21 of your employees. And the way I look at that is that provides needed retention and recruitment support, but then also professional development. So you always want to sharpen the axe and really help people be the best employees that they can be. And so we're pleased to have that going on. And so we have 21 of your employees going through that. In addition to that, we've had the Construction Academy that has 14 citizens going through that. Real estate, 19, at least 19, based on my notes. Nurse aid, that's a much-needed area for our community, and we've had 21 people go through the nurse aid program, either nurse aid 1 or nurse aid 2. Welding, that's a high-demand area as well. We've had 7 people to benefit from the funding to go through one of our welding programs. Forklift training is a necessity for some of our local manufacturers. We've had 10 people who've taken advantage of the resources to go through that. Paramedic, Mr. Brown, you said he had to leave, but we have currently 6 employees who are going through the paramedic program who are employed by you all. So the support really helps them to get the needed training that they need to help support the community. Just 2 more, cosmetology. On the Con Ed side, we've had 13 people either do a variety of nail tech, natural hair, et cetera. And then on the curriculum side, so all of the programs I mentioned already are Con Ed, so those short-term training programs. But we also recognize that students need a variety of different offerings that we have out there. And of course, community colleges, we offer quite a bit. And so on the curriculum side, which is college credit earning side, we've had 48 students who've taken advantage of the support that you all offer. And that could be just to take, they need 1 class to get them over the hump, or they need maybe the 12 credits to help them finish out a program. Whatever the case is, your support has helped them get to the finish line. So just wanted to share that with you all, and that's been great. Obviously, based on you all's funding model, we need your consideration about continuing that program. And while I certainly feel like we've been blessed over the years since I've been here to find different sources to help support our students, we do know since the pandemic started, we've had a number of different sources, state and federal funding that has helped our students directly, either put money in their pocket to help them with child care expenses, transportation, and things like that, but those monies have sunsetted or have been exhausted already. So for example, we have these terms called like HERF money, CARES Act money, and things like that. So those monies are no longer. We do have other pots of monies, but sometimes those are limited to certain programs. What you all are providing really helps our citizens here to take advantage of programs that are not normally financial aid eligible, like those short-term workforce training programs. And you'd like to think that they would be financial aid eligible. I know the federal government is looking at that. They're looking at what they call short-term workforce payroll, but that has not been approved yet. So the support you all provide has been a game changer and a lifesaver for many of our residents. In addition to that, I know Mr. Pike is here from Carolina's Gateway Partnership, and last year, about this time, we brainstormed with Carolina's Gateway Partnership and Edgecombe County Public Schools to offer a training program for those students who were graduating from high school here locally, but did not have a plan to go to college in the traditional sense or to the military, and that's what you were talking about earlier. And so with that funding that you had set aside, that it was going to look differently this year. We were going to actually run that through the high schools, but then we realized that the high schools, the way they get their classes and programs approved at the state level, that takes a long process. And so we decided we can't just wait for that to happen. That is happening, but in the meantime, we need to do what we can for our students who are graduating who do not plan on coming to ECC or to a 4-year school in the traditional sense. but we want them to be productive citizens for our community. So we want to give them the training that they need to hit the ground running and either work for the county or work for one of our businesses here. And so last year we did it with ECPS where they did half of it before the school year ended and then the other half right after the school year ended. This year, because you have your final exams and things like that, we decided for most of it we're going to have right after school ends. So that second full week in June, we're going to be offering the Working Edge Academy, again, like we did last year, but with the support of you all. Last year, we had to kind of find different sources. I know Carolina's Gateway Partnership found some different monies to help support that, but we didn't have that source again this year. And so having you all support will allow us to serve at least 50 students. We're targeting 50 students to put them through the Working Edge Academy. And what the Working Edge Academy will give them is training in OSHA 10. So OSHA 10 is that workplace safety and health program, so that they can appreciate and understand how to be safe on a job. That's very vital for our local businesses. And then secondly, the Working Smart curriculum. Working Smart is a national standard for soft skills training in the workplace. They may have gone through some soft skills training, but not necessarily as it applies to the workplace. So we've combined those two different training certificate programs into the Working Edge Academy, and so we're going to be giving those students that training in June. And part of that program, we're going to be lining up employers on the last day to interview these graduates. And so then they can hit the ground running, either with the county or Kaheen or Hitachi, Hitachi Estimo, and LS Cable, Sara Lee, et cetera, et cetera. So we're excited about that. And with that, if you did not know, we went around to the various high schools presenting on this opportunity, and I know just recently, last week, we were at Southwest Edgecombe High School, and Mr. Evans closed us out, and I know inspired those students to want to work for the county. At least I was inspired. And so that was a great presentation by all those who were involved. Just an additional few things I want to share with you all. We're also doing a Health Careers Academy that's going to be held on the Rocky Mount campus, and that is something that I recognize we need to do for our young people, particularly our rising juniors and seniors in high school, because a lot of young people who want to go into healthcare, they only think of two positions in healthcare: doctors and nurses, right? And there's so much more out there. And so when they apply to the college and go into the pre-nursing track, they don't realize how competitive it is to get into the nursing program. And so with that, oftentimes you'll have some students who don't get in the first time, they might not get in the second time, but they're great candidates for healthcare. And so we'll find, I know Mr. Webb, you've experienced this, is that now we have these other programs like respiratory radiography, surge tech. They're now trying to recruit those students. Hey, come and look at what we have to offer. This is a great career. This is even better than what you think nursing would be. And, and they go back and forth. And so instead of waiting until the last second trying to convince them about going into another direction, why not educate them up front? Be more proactive with that. So that's what we're going to do. We're shooting for about 24 students to participate in that, and we're working with Area AHEC to put that on this summer. Additional to that, we're also putting on the 2 entrepreneurship camps for young people. We're doing one for middle school students and one for high school students as well this summer. That's going to be run through our Small Business Center network. And then we're also putting on, and I might have shared this with you all before, we're also putting on the Edgecombe Reach Academy. I termed it Reach, but it's basically you all Citizens Academy that you all have been doing, but for the youth. And Reach, if I get it right, I think I came up with resource exploration and career horizons program. So basically, instead of just focusing for them on what does the county offer, which is tremendous, we need to share with them what all is being offered in the community. So private businesses, the county, as well as other things like healthcare, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to be doing that this summer as well, about the same time, middle of June. And then lastly, I just want to share with you all, I think you all got the invitation from us. Our graduation is coming up real soon, Friday. If you haven't seen it, it's in your mailbox. So Commissioner Harris, you're shaking your head?
What mailbox?
Okay. And if you don't know when graduation is, we're all in trouble.
I know, right?
So our graduation is this Friday at 4 p.m. at the college, of course. You're welcome to come. You have an open invitation. Please check your mailbox. It's been mailed to you. Our keynote speaker is MC Belk Pylon. She's the president and chair of the John M. Belk Endowment. Belk Department Store. That's who is coming. And again, thank you all for, I know you mentioned, Mr. Evans, earlier about the appointments to these advisory boards. Thank you for my appointment to the Education and Workforce Advisory Board. I look forward to participating on that. Any questions, comments, concerns?
Any questions? Thank you. It's exciting times for us in education, economic development, all over the county.
That's right. Thank you.
We're breathing new life. Thank you so much.
Awesome job.
Thank you, sir.
That's it for manager's report, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioners, anything?
I just completed my 1 year from August of 23 to April of 24 with the Hunt Institute, the Elevate North Carolina Higher Education Program. It is where we're trying to work on, North Carolina's trying to attain a goal of 2 million North Carolinians getting some kind of degree by 2030. And so we brought together community college presidents, commissioners, teachers, all kinds of people, jobs. But it was very educational, and I tried to make sure I shared information with you as well as with Dr. McLeod when I came back. And then, as you know, I'm serve as the risk management chair for North Carolina Association of County Commissioners. I just completed the Eastern Carolina Safety and Health School that they held. I took vacation, Dr. McLeod, April the 11th and the 12th to attend. And Mr. Josh Dobson, who's the Commissioner of Labor, was our keynote speaker and presented us with our certificates. So, any questions about risk management for the county? I'm the person you ask about. I found out where the proper shoes our people should be wearing, where they get their gloves, everything that our employees out in the field need, so that we can make sure that they're safe and that we don't have any risk casualties.
Good.
So.
Thank you.
And I guess I'll take the position that don't ask no questions. You don't know, don't ask no questions. You might not need no answer. Okay. Anything else from commissioners? Hearing none, is there anything from our attorney?
No, sir.
I'm gonna take that off the agenda. That's smart. Hearing none, is there a motion to go into executive session to discuss some personnel matter?
So moved.
Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, thank you, everybody.
About 20, oh.
15 to 20 years.
We're live.
We live? We're now.
Anyone outside?
Yeah.
Yeah, we need him.
Well, hey, you the first deputy I seen to come back in after we, so you're welcome, okay?
Last time I went out, I got locked out.
No, so glad to see you, okay? Well, you need a key, okay?
Got one now.
Okay, good, all right. The sheriff got locked out, okay. You can open that. We're now back in open session. Mr. Evans, is there any other business to come before the board?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I just want to, here in open session, inform the board and those who may be listening or watching that Ms. Viola Anderson, who's been serving as our Register of Deeds, has retired. Her retirement was effective on May 1st, and, I'm sorry, on May 4th. And so she, the Executive Committee of the Democratic Party, being that she was a registered Democrat, met on last week to entertain candidates to fill that unexpired seat. And so they met and they have nominated Ms. Aisha Windross. Ms. Windross is an employee in the Register of Deeds office. She also has filed for that position. She was the only candidate that they entertained. And so Ms. Alfreda Perkins, who's the chairperson of the Democratic Party, informed me that they voted to forward for your appointment, your official appointment, Ms. Aisha Windross. As state statute says, that as long as they make that nomination within 30 days of the person's retirement, then this board must appoint who is nominated by the Democratic Party. The state statute also says that in an election year, that the salary of that person who's filling that unexpired term is not to be lowered. And therefore, before you tonight, your consideration is accepting the nomination from the Democratic Party of Ms. Aisha Windross to appoint her as such with a salary of $63,974.
The chairman of the party shared that information with you?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved. Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, so done.
So, Mr. Chairman and the board, we will invite Ms. Windross to your planned meeting on May 15th for a budget work session so that you can swear Ms. Windross in as registered, or so she can be sworn in as our registered.
We'll have a clerk there.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's a scheduled meeting, so we can do it in that meeting.
Yes, sir. It will be a call meeting, and we will
meeting.
include in the notice that action will take place.
Is there anything, excuse me, is there anything else to come before the board?
Nothing
Any
else
other
from
business?
staff.
Anything from board? Motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Questions? All in favor, let it be known by the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none.
So we don't have a budget meeting Thursday.
The budget committee.
Why is that on my calendar? Let me get it off.
Budget committee.
Look, none of this thing I got to do, let me take it off.
If you're like me, I get a little excited when I find out I don't have to go to a meeting.
I got to get out in the morning to